Welcome back everyone to the channel. Today's video we're going to be doing the 1-year ownership review of the 2020 CLA 45. I can't believe it's already been a year of owning this car. Let's jump right into today's video. Let's go over the 1 year of owning the CLA 45. I think the best way to start the 1-year ownership of the 2020 CLA 45 is to go over the exterior of the car first. The car does look very good. It's very aggressive styling, and the best part is the front end, especially with the hood lines right here like an AMG would, like a C63 or E63 would have. It's on the CLA 45, not even the real 63 AMG, and it has the hood lines, and it makes the front end look super aggressive. And that's also paired with the Panamericana grille, so that is stock from factory on the CLA 45, which is an amazing grille. Mercedes designers, you did a fantastic job with the front end of this car and all the other AMGs in the lineup with the Panamericana grille. One thing to note is that this front end is a little bit shorter than, you know, like a typical AMG would be, like a C63, because the 63 has a V8, so it's going to need a lot more room in the front to be able to fit the engine and everything else. The CLA 45 has the 4-banger, which is sideways, doesn't take up much space, so you can kind of see how the front end is a little short. It does look a little weird proportions wise, but aggressiveness, it's really aggressive, especially paired with the intakes, which I will be talking about that intake over there. But you do have the intake right here on this side, and then you have the aggressive lights with the LEDs, which look really menacing. And then also you have the splitter and also the canard right here, which is part of the Aero AMG aerodynamics pack that you can get on this car, which I highly recommend if you're looking to purchase this car. That is pretty much the front end, and it looks aggressive. It looks great. What's great about the front end being super aggressive is that this car looks a lot more expensive than it actually is. So I've actually had a lot of people stop me and ask me, what car is this? Is it like the big boy AMG? And no, it's just a CLA 45. It's not even a 63, but the front end just looks so aggressive. So this car in reality actually looks like $150,000 car versus the actual like $70,000 price tag, which is really cool because you're getting a good value buying this car, and you're getting the looks of a GT63, which is, you know, way more expensive, but you're paying for half the price of the car. Although this car's front end is very aggressive, the one annoying thing I do have with this car is that the front intake on the right side of the car or the left side of the car, depending on where you're looking at, it's fake. It's blocked off. This one is real, so you do see the radiator and the intake, but there is no intake on this side. For a $70,000 car, I feel like this side should be open and should have an actual intake. A bunch of other cars that are cheaper do have real dual intakes in the front, but this car, for some reason, it's fake. So headlights wise, this does have the automatic LED headlights, so the full LED. These things look so good at night. It shines the whole road in front of you, so if you're looking for deer or for anything else that might be popping up at night, you'll be able to see it with these headlights. I really approve Mercedes LED headlights. They definitely help you driving at night to avoid any debris or animals or anything else that might be in your way. One thing I did want to note about the exterior of this car, if you can look closely, you're going to be able to see the paint chips in the wrap. So although this is a wrap, so these aren't actually paint chips, they're wrap chips. You can see that it's just coated in these chips because this car sits so low, and that's one other thing that I'm going to be making a video on about if this car is a good city car. Well, the one thing about this car is that because it sits so low, you pretty much pick up all the rocks on the highway. Down here is all chipped up as well, so you're just picking up rocks from anyone that you know, has aggressive tires, or if you're behind any car, you're literally going to get hit with so many rocks, and it just chips up the paint and the wrap. So luckily this car is wrapped, so the paint underneath is protected. But if you didn't have your CLA 45 wrapped, you do need to keep in mind how low this car sits, and after 1 year of ownership, how many chips I have, which is a lot for, I think, a 1 year ownership of a car. So if you do just have paint, I would highly suggest getting PPF for your CLA 45 because this car does sit really low and it just attracts all the rocks. So the aggressive styling doesn't just stop at the front end. You can see on the side profile as well, it does have a nice look to it, especially paired with the 19-inch wheels. These are the AMG Y-spoke, which I highly suggest getting if you're buying this car because these wheels they look so good, especially with the satin black wrap. But in general, those wheels look a lot better than any other wheel in the lineup because, well, they are forged AMG wheels, and those are the wheels that they use on the 63s. So you're getting a really good deal getting those wheels on the car. You can see also behind the wheels the aggressive pretty large brakes, I would say. You know, the red AMG design, which, you know, some people are like red brake calipers aren't that great, but I think they look really good paired with this car. So not only do the brakes look good, you do get a very good performance with these brakes, and it does continue in the back. So one thing, this spoiler is actually stock from factory, so this is not an eBay special. It is actually stock with the aero pack, so you do get a really good aggressive spoiler. Like, I haven't even thought about upgrading my spoiler because I'm like, well, it already looks great factory, why would I change the spoiler? Gloss black fits everything else. I don't need carbon fiber. I think it looks good just the way it is. And then you come down to the rear and the diffuser. So the best part about this car is the rear diffuser, because this diffuser is so aggressive. It's actually crazy to me because this diffuser is actually more aggressive than my C63 diffuser was. And it's like, why would a 45 have a more aggressive diffuser than a 63? But that's the reality. This diffuser looks so good, and it's paired very, very nicely with all the gloss black accents around the car and also the satin black wrap. But overall, looks wise, after 1 year of ownership, I am not tired of the looks of this car. I think, well, one, it would look better in a coupe form, like a two-door coupe, but other than that, after 1 year of ownership, I'm not bored of the looks at all. Like, it looks so aggressive. People are always staring at this car, which, you know, you shouldn't buy a car because people are going to stare at it. But I did want to note that this does seek a lot of attention like my C63 did, which is pretty amazing because this is not a 63, it's a 45. All right, guys, now that we're inside the CLA 45, we can go over the interior of this car. So the one thing to note about this car is that inside, once you step in, it feels very, very cozy. And that coziness has not gone away after 1 year of ownership. It feels like you're in a cockpit that you want to just go fast in, which is exactly what the CLA 45 is supposed to be, because this car is a pretty fast car, as I'll show you once we go for a drive. But overall, this cockpit is very, very nice and cozy inside. It feels very tight. Doesn't feel too closed in, but after a while on like a long journey, you will feel a little bit claustrophobic. It does get a little tight in here, but it actually feels really, really nice because, like, when you're in a race car, you know, you're really tight inside the, you know, cockpit, which is what you want to feel like. So it's kind of nice that the CLA 45 does have that characteristic of being a very tight inside. But if you are a tall person, unlike me, you know, you will feel strain after a few hours of driving. So after a long road trip, you will feel like your legs don't have enough room to really go anywhere. And eventually you're gonna have to push back the seat all the way to the point where you get back into the back seat. And I have a very, like, weird pet peeve of being in the rear and seeing the rear window beside me when I'm driving. But sometimes I feel like I have to push the seat all the way back to be able to feel like my legs are extended to the point where I feel comfortable. So it does get a little crunched in at some points when you're, you know, a little bit taller and you're also in the car for a little bit of a long time. It does feel a little cramped, but other than that, it's very, very nice to be inside. The other thing is the seats, which I have complained in many, many videos over the year of ownership, is that these seats are not comfortable at all. I would prefer the performance seats. So if you are looking to buy a CLA 45, highly suggest buying the performance seats, because these seats, the regular base seats, just aren't it. After a few hours, you do feel like your back is very, very sore, even though you do have lumbar adjustment down here, and you have a little bit of adjustment over here. It just, overall, the shape, I think, and the quality of the seat just isn't really there. And yeah, like, after a long road trip, you will feel pretty sore. I think we should go over the quality-wise of this interior and then maybe some of the features as well. So a good place to start with the interior, obviously, is the driver's seat. So the one thing that I love and absolutely love about this car's interior is the layout and also the AMG Performance steering wheel. So as you can see, this is the leather wrapped with the Alcantara on the sides, and overall just looks so good, especially with the flat bottom. Then you have the AMG logo down here. And what's cool about it is that you do have the switches, so you can switch drive modes. You go to Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus, Race mode, and just switch the modes at the flick of your finger while you're driving. You don't have to go down and do this little baby switch. You have an actual screen and knob that tells you exactly what mode you're in. But not only that, over to the left, you have another screen with buttons where you can switch different options that you want to change the adjustment to, and you can change it. So let's say you have the exhaust button right now. You click the button down here, you can open the exhaust valves just with this button. AMG Dynamics, you can turn it on to different versions of it. So this is Comfort, Sport, and then Sport Plus Race Mode. And you can just change anything you want. Turn auto start on or off. Let's turn it off. And then you can turn traction control off. The suspension, you can change it to Sport, Sport Plus, Comfort. It's so dynamic, and it's right there at the steering wheel where it should be. And I think that's my favorite part of this car, is being able to switch to the different modes, and also just how easy it is in this car. So then the rest of the steering wheel, you obviously have the controls that control that screen, and then these controls control that screen. So what's cool about this interior, it does have the dual infotainment screens. You do have the touch screen and also the controls here and here, so you have 3 different ways to control that screen. But you also have the center driver's display. So this is what I've been keeping it on for the past, I think, like 10,000 miles. This is my favorite version of it, because you have the AMG cluster in the middle, and then you have the tire pressure over here, and then the temps over up above the tire pressures, just so you have all the available information that you need to drive this car. And then I don't know if you can see up here on the windshield, you do have the heads-up display in the AMG fashion, so you do have that rev counter right there. And then if you put it into gear, so let's put it into drive, it will tell you what gear you're in, which is really nice when you're shifting, and it also has shift lights when you're in manual modes. Overall, this interior layout is perfect for a driver, performance driver, because you have the center display with all your information, then you have the right display, you can go media, navigation, everything else. But I'm not going to go too in depth with this infotainment, but it is a great infotainment. It's fast, it's responsive, exactly what you want out of an infotainment. And yeah, overall, I think the technology and the layout of this interior is perfect. So the other thing that's great about this interior is the dynamics of the interior lighting. So you have basically LED lighting everywhere in this car, even in the headrest. You can't really see, but you have basically any colors you want out of like 64 different colors, and you can switch different animations, things like that. Switch it around. You can see LEDs over here, up here, and just, I think this is the best LED lighting in the industry, in the CLA 45 and also the new S-Class as well. But the CLA 45's interior lighting layout is so perfect, and it looks so cool at night. It feels like you're driving a nightclub, which is one of my favorite parts of this interior. And after a year of ownership, it doesn't get old. The last thing about the interior that I wanted to note is the interior quality. So overall, the quality of this interior is, well, I would say is kind of abysmal for the price. You do have hard pleather that isn't soft really at all up top. You do have Alcantara, which is nice, Alcantara and suede. The switches are the black plastic, so they aren't the metal that you would find in a C-Class, which is kind of annoying because this is a CLA 45, not a base CLA. I feel like they should switch the switches to be more metallic because it is a more premium CLA. The leather on the seats just isn't really good at all. It's just not, it's soft, but it's just not supple. It's not a good leather. The Alcantara is nice, so you don't have full leather, but if it was full leather, I think I would get really tired of the seats because they're just not really good quality. Compared to the S3 that I reviewed, which if you haven't already on my channel, you should go watch it. The S3 for $55,000, the leather and the interior quality was miles better than the CLA 45, which is, you know, pretty sad because this is a $70,000 car versus a $56,000 car. The leather was like the AAL leather. This leather is just like a Honda Civic, like Toyota Corolla leather. It's just not good. And overall, it does creak here and there if you do click on some things. And there's a lot of rattling inside while driving as well, which is annoying. You can get those fixed at the dealership, but I feel like from factory, this car shouldn't be rattling and creaking like it does. You can see the fitment, I don't know, up here. This sunglass shade, it's just, you know, it's not level with the interior, and there's, you know, some gaps and things like that just was overlooked, which is kind of annoying because this is, you know, pretty pricey car. The interior quality just isn't there, and that's my biggest gripe. After 1 year of ownership, the interior quality just isn't there, and compared to the competitors, it's actually really sad how bad this interior quality is. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I would say that's like my biggest gripe with the interior after 1 year of ownership is the quality. So I think before we go for a drive and talk about the driving dynamics of this car after 1 year, I think we should go over the issues I've had over 1 year of ownership, just so you guys get an idea of what went wrong with this car after I purchased it from the day I first got it and then until today. So let's go over some of the issues I've had over the year. So one of the first issues I had with this car was actually the taillight. So the taillight wasn't fitted properly from factory. There was a gap between the body line and the taillight. When I opened this trunk, I noticed that this was pretty damp. So what happened was that this was not fitted properly from factory, and there was just water just sitting in this trunk liner. The seal was broken and it wasn't fitted properly, so there was just water sitting in the trunk lid. That was one of the main issues I had, was that taillight seal was broken and there was water in the trunk, but didn't mess with the electricals. The other issues I had with this car from day one was the Bluetooth microphones, which are situated in the headliner, was not working. So my Mercedes, when you say my Mercedes, it will be like a voice assistant like Alexa, wasn't working because it couldn't pick up my voice. And also when I was making Bluetooth phone calls, it was completely muffled and the people on the other end of the call couldn't hear me. So I had to get those replaced, and unfortunately I think they went bad again because they are not working and my Mercedes doesn't work like it should. So I'm gonna have to get that checked out again. But those Bluetooth microphones I think was a known issue with this car, which is kind of annoying, but hopefully it can get fixed again. But yeah, that was from day one, the Bluetooth was not working. So as you guys know, the other issue that I had with this car was the turbo actuator. So the turbo actuator actually went bad, which is a known issue with this car amongst the CLA 45 community. I don't know if Mercedes addressed it yet fully, but there was a service bulletin for the actuator. So essentially what was happening was that anytime you were driving, it was like squealing, like a high-pitched squeal noise, which got really annoying. I don't know why the actuator went bad. I think it might just be a design fault from the actuator from factory. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't really get full intel on what was going on, but did get replaced. So far, thankfully, it has not broken yet. I know a few people that have had actually issues where it actually broke again after being replaced. So hopefully mine stays fine for the duration of the ownership, but those are known to fail. If you have a CLA 45, doesn't matter if you have low mileage or high mileage, it could fault at any point in time. You will need it replaced, and hopefully not more than once. So the latest issue that I've had with this car, and hopefully the last one, is the suspension issue that I was talking about in my last video, where the left strut needed completely replaced because it was making so much noise. It was like creaking really loudly at low speeds. That's the only issue that I've had other than the other ones I've talked about, and hopefully is the last one I have with this car. That one really isn't too much of a design fault, I would say. It's more just because the roads were really bad and it just broke because, well, it might have been a little bit more fragile than most cars, but it is a sports car, so it does have sports suspension. I might explain why that broke so easily on broken roads, but other than that, this car has been flawless over the 1 year of ownership. I think it's time to get in and go for a drive. All right, guys, now we are in the car, so we can go over some of the driving dynamics of this car. The one thing I did want to note is, well, I'm using this recorder because my lav mic broke, but the other thing is that this car does have winter studded tires, so I can't push it to its limits because, well, it's not going to get the grip that it should with the Super Sports that were on the car with the summer tires. So because I have studded tires, it is a little bit louder here, but other than that, this car shines in the country back roads. That's the one thing I noticed after owning this for a year, is that this car is made for the country back roads because you can just fly and just go attack corners, fly through corners, especially in race mode, because this car does have the AMG performance package. It does come with race mode. Race mode just makes it so much more fun to be on back roads, just attacking those roads and going at it full speed. So what's great about this car is that you can enjoy its full capacity. The one thing I had with the C63 was that you couldn't enjoy the V8 to its fullness because of how much power and how aggressive the car is. With the 4-banger, you can hit it at its limit and enjoy it to its full potential, which is great. So the one thing I did want to do is I did want to switch it into Sport Plus mode, just so you guys get an idea of what the car sounds like inside. So it does have fake engine noise being pumped in the speakers, unfortunately, but other than that, it does sound pretty good on the outside. So let's switch into manual mode and give it a little bit of a run, even though we have studded tires. And you can see, like, it's pulling my neck back how fast this car actually is. And it's so much fun. It really is. Like, it's one of the most fun I've had in the AMG, other than my C63. You just wouldn't expect this car to go fully what it does, because you're thinking like, oh, CLA 45, it's a four banger, it doesn't have the full potential of a C63 or whatever. But other than that, it's like one of the coolest AMGs that I've driven, and I've driven a few AMGs. And it's fun to go into Sport Plus mode, race mode, and just go in manual mode and attack these roads as fast as you can. So driving dynamics wise, this car hits it 10 out of 10 because of how much fun this car actually is to drive, especially in Sport Plus and race mode. Now when you're on the highway, it is, like I said, depending on the seats that you have, it could be a little bit rough, could be comfortable. The ride harshness, which is nice, is that you can change the suspension to different modes. So you can have it in individual, have it like a high performing car, but change the suspension to be on the lower setting so it isn't as harsh. So you do feel the difference in the suspension when you go into the different modes. So if we switch back into comfort, you can see it does quiet down a little bit. It's a little bit more tame, a little bit more useful in the city and driving daily wise, rather than, you know, you're in Sport Plus race mode and just attacking the roads. Like I said, the most fun in this car is Sport Plus and race mode and just flying on back roads because of how much fun this car actually is to drive to its full potential versus like a 63 where you really couldn't do that unless, you know, you didn't care about you know, breaking the law all the time. But let's do this again because of how much fun it was. Let's go back into Sport Plus. Actually, let's go into race mode. So race mode is a little bit quicker and a little bit louder. Let's go back into manual shifting and just give it a nice pull. Wait for these poles. This road is a little rough, but once I get past this, I'm just gonna floor just so you guys get an idea of how fast this car. You can see it's, again, it's just pulling me back, and the shifts are just bump, 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 bump. So instantaneous. They did such a good job with this transmission in Sport Plus and race mode. But I will say, in regular driving modes, like in comfort mode, this car is very lurchy in automatic shifting. So it is a very lurchy car when you're just driving around the city, which I did note as an issue in one of my other videos, that it does get annoying that this car just lurches, and it's like it's like trying to figure out what gear it should shift in, and it just can't figure it out, and it gets really annoying because you're driving in the city and you just feel like you're getting hit in the back because of how aggressive the shifting is. And it's like, should I be in first gear, should I be in second gear? And the car can't decide, and it gets kind of annoying because you kind of look weird in the city, just like lurching like this in your car. But other than that, transmission is fantastic in Sport Plus and race mode. It just flies. You saw it just shifts like nonstop, instantly. And but yeah, driving dynamics wise, this car is so much fun. And it was the reason why I didn't want to get rid of it, was because of how much fun this car is to drive, especially on back roads. Like I said, highway, it's all right. After 1 year of ownership, I would say I'm used to driving it on, you know, comfort and on the highway. I've done 6-7 hour long road trips in one weekend in this car, and it's not as bad as it sounds. It actually isn't really that bad. I wish it did have adaptive cruise, so if you're looking to buy one, make sure you get adaptive cruise and lane keep assist, because that will keep you in check when you're driving on the highway for a long period of time. But other than that, this car drives fantastic. It's seriously a lot more powerful and a lot faster than you think it would be. You know, kind of looking at the spec sheets, or maybe just looking at the car in general, and you're like, oh yeah, it's a fast car, but it's not 63. It's not gonna be that fast, but really, it actually is really, really quick, and it catches up to a lot of AMGs and M cars, and it's kind of amazing how fast and how much fun this car is to own. My girlfriend loves driving this car because it's just a thrill to drive and to own. So after 1 year of ownership, driving wise, not bored at all, and I would highly recommend this car just based on the driving dynamics. Overall, the 1 year ownership of this car has been amazing. It's been a lot of fun to drive as a daily driver. Other than the small issues I've noted just a little bit earlier in this video, this car has been a fantastic time to own as a daily driver. So if you're looking for a daily driver AMG, look no further. The CLA 45 is probably your best bang for your buck. I really, really do love this car, and before I was about debating on selling it, I was actually really sad to get rid of it. Even my girlfriend approves of this car. She absolutely loves it, loves driving it, loves riding in it. So if my girlfriend approves, then you'll have no issue convincing your girlfriend or wife to be able to buy this car, because it really is an amazing daily driver. So thanks again for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed the 1-year ownership. There's a lot more videos on the CLA 45 and also the new car, which is coming very, very soon to the channel. So be on the lookout for that. But other than that, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Oh, also, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. See ya.